you get started? Oh, Scott is
There he is.
You can't do it if he's muted.
Scott is muted.
Scott's muted. There he is.
Scott, could I get you to do the pledge when we get started here?
Yeah, sure. You bet, Bob.
Not
Okay.
supposed to get the rain until 4 o'clock.
And everyone else, please mute when he does the pledge.
Yes.
Well, folks, it's that time, so let's get started. I'd like to.
Eddie Robinson.
I can't hear. Is it time for the pledge?
Yeah, Scott, go ahead.
Okay. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. I don't know what's happening. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible. Yeehaw!
Yeehaw!
Whoops,
Okay, now,
are we on?
we're on
Okay.
now.
Thank you, Scott, and I appreciate you having the props that were needed for that as well. Like to welcome any guests that we have. Has anybody brought a guest on board with us? No guests. Good heavens. Oh, we do have a guest. I see Shirley here, Shirley Dillman. She's really a member, but Shirley, welcome. And it's kind of, we had to cancel a mariachi band because we don't have any birthdays, so we can't sing happy birthday. I'm sorry, unless I missed one, somebody has a birthday, but JP was the last one, I think, that we had. That was last week, though. So no birthdays this week. So let's just go straight into announcements. Anne, would you give us a little report on our clay shoot?
Yes, Robert, thank you. Well, things are looking up today. Thanks to Cameron and Mac, we're getting some more registrations. And I just checked. We now have TAB Technologies. I haven't seen their registration, but he indicated he's going to do the clay sponsorship again this year. So that's really great. We have 2 silver sponsors. Siemens came in, and then we have a brand new silver sponsor, Hearthstone Home Group, and the NFL recruited them. So I'm happy to have them. And of course, all 3 of those sponsors get teams. And then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more teams. So we have a total of 8 teams and sponsors. And then we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 station sponsors, and Edward Jones, Gregg Harkrider is doing a sponsorship. So things are looking better than they were, and we still need sponsors and teams and shooters. We're doing pretty good on the raffle. We have now, we've either sold or have out for sale 216 tickets. So we're almost at about where we ended up last year. So things are looking really good on that. And speaking of raffle tickets, this Saturday from noon to 4, we're going to be selling raffle tickets at McBride's. And I could certainly use at least 1 or maybe 2 volunteers. I've got 1 person that can help me, but it would really be great if I could get someone else to come and help me. I'm kind of I don't know if everybody remembers, but I'm kind of under the weather. I've got this tear in my tendon on my left leg and ankle. And so I'm wearing my big boot, and if it's kind of hard to get around sometimes. So if somebody can help me out, please.
I
let
can
me
help
know.
you.
Who is
Patty.
I? Patty. Okay, Patty, thank you so
What is
much.
the time again?
It's noon to 4. And if you can't be there the whole time, we'll figure it out. But
And
I'll
that's Saturday.
yes. And I'll talk to you offline about that. Okay. Is there anybody else that wants to volunteer? Mim is going to come and help. And Robert, you can help?
I can come and help. Yep.
Oh, great. Okay. Well, that's perfect. Thank you. And I guess that's it for now. We're going to have another committee meeting Monday and see where we stand. But I'm very thankful that Cameron and Mac are really starting to push, because now we're starting to see some results. I was afraid we were going to have a party and nobody come.
Thank you, Ann. Compliments to you and you and Susie and your crew. You've done a fantastic job. It's coming together real well. We'll move on to, I don't see Gregg here. We're going to have a little update on our plastic drive. I don't see him here, so we'll have to pass on that. Vision screening, is Sam Ruiz here? I don't see him here neither. Goodness sakes. Okay, let's go to with regards to the capital city, their 55th anniversary. Glenda, would you give us a little shot on that?
Well, Robert and Ann Ward and I went to the capital city 55th anniversary party, and it was very, very nice, very well attended. We have can you see put it up a little closer. Ann prepared we did a full page ad for them, which they were appreciative of, and it turned out very well in the brochure. Thank you, Ann. I met a lot of people that I would not have met otherwise, and everybody was very enthusiastic. They did a very nice video showing what had happened, during their 55 years. It was very well done. Their speaker was the Austin Fire Chief, and he did a good job. So everybody had a good time. There were lots of certificates and things handed out. We had taken one of our Austin Founder Lions Club little banners and gave it to him, but we were supposed to be on the agenda, and he got so busy he forgot. He apologized. They have a banner, but he didn't show it at that particular time. But it was lovely, and I'm glad that we did that. And one of the things we talked about wanting to do was becoming more involved with the other Lions clubs, and I think they appreciated our help. Ann, do you have anything you'd like to add about the banquet?
The only thing I would do is say that the fire chief really was good, and I think we ought to try to get him for a program for our club. I think everybody would enjoy hearing him. And we also were very honored to have International Director TJ Tijerina and his wife Juanita. They were there. And there were about 4 or 5 past district governors of our district that also attended. So they had a really good attendance. They had a nice silent auction. And it was a very nice event.
Very, very classy, very classy.
Sid and I attended as well. It was really well done.
Remember after this, a few minutes, maybe 5 minutes after our program here, we'll have our board meeting. So bear with us and hang in for that. At this time, I'd like to turn this over to
Robert?
To introduce
Robert,
our.
may I make a comment, please?
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I just wanted to thank everyone who did attend my birthday shindig. very overwhelming and very humbling to see as many people as we had there. Thank you very much. I'm honored every day to be a part of your group. Thank you then.
Oh, very good. It was a great time. Everybody had a good time. It's good to see everybody else too. All the faces that we don't normally see.
I would add to that what Gene Autry said on his 85th birthday.
Which
You know,
is,
if he'd have known he's going to live that long, he'd have taken a lot better care of himself.
Yeah, right.
We were at the birthday party too. It was nice.
We all feel the same way, Robert. If we all have 40, what we know now.
Exactly. I'd like at this time to turn the meeting over to Mac Ragsdale to introduce our speaker. Is Mac handy there?
Okay, well, thank you, Robert. Before we jump in, I wanted to recognize that Steve Riley is with us. Of course, he's our lion, but he moved off to, what is it? The city of brotherly love, Philadelphia. Is that right?
Yankee Land, I believe it's called. Yes, I think it's called Yankeeville. Yes, I think that's no. I couldn't even live in South Philly. I tried, but yeah, just for some authenticity. But yeah, I'm in the Philadelphia area actually. So,
Good to see you.
It's good to see you guys. Thank you for having me. And my son is going to be with us too. So, you want to sit up?
great.
Great.
Yeah.
Well,
I'd like to recognize that we see Leo back with us again. I miss.
Hey, Leo.
Leo. Hey, Leo.
Leo, you in Philadelphia too? Thought I'd try. That's
I'm
my goal
not.
to get
I'm
all
not.
of
I'm
you.
in
up.
Austin.
I want to get all of you up here. So
He may well be in Portugal.
That's right. Exactly. That's the better one.
Well, I'm glad to see everybody today. I think we've got a real entertaining and informative program on the life and the works of cartoonist Rube Goldberg. I think he's a household word for many of us. Our speaker today is something of a world authority on political cartoons. And many of you may recall that Gregg Philipson spoke to us last year on Dr. Seuss Goes to War and Before. That was real interesting. So Mr. Philipson lectures internationally on subjects, including the whole propaganda art, Jewish military history, and he's back today for a return engagement. So please welcome Gregg Philipson.
All right. How are we doing? Can you all see that?
Yes.
All right, great. So today we're going to talk about, Mac and I decided on something a little bit light, on the lighter side for a lunchtime event. I'll try to keep it to about 35 minutes. If I get a little, if it goes on a little bit, just let me know and I'll try to speed it up. But anyway, Rube Goldberg, literally an iconic American, I thought it would be a good idea to take a quick look at his life prior to getting into some of the things that are in our collection regarding Rube Goldberg. He's a Native American, and his name is officially Reuben Louisius Goldberg. Born in San Francisco, passed away in 1970, a nice long life in New York City. And as it said, when Mac put out the announcement on this, he was an illustrator, a cartoonist, an author, an inventor. And what many people don't know was he was actually a sculptor much later in his life. But the thing that most people really never realize about a guy like Rube Goldberg is that he was a Pulitzer Prize winner in 1948 for editorial cartooning. And we're going to take a look at that as we get into the presentation here. He was born in San Francisco, as we mentioned, to Max and Hannah Goldberg, who were German Jewish immigrants, one of 4 children. And they were a fairly well-off family, but Rube's really just made a fortune early on. His works were so well accepted, and we're going to look at many of those. Here's a picture of the Goldberg family, Rube, his wife, and 2 sons, in 1929 in their 88 Central Park West, New York City home. And this was a really prestigious, expensive area. So you can see him as a fairly young man here, very well to do, and not surprising with the amount of work that this guy cranked out. Unlike many cartoonists of that period in the early 1900s to the 1970s, a lot of cartoonists really were just artistically talented, but Rube actually was trained in this. He graduated with a degree in engineering from the University of California at Berkeley in 1904 and began his career very early on working for the San Francisco Chronicle, the San Francisco Bulletin, and in 1907, when they moved to New York, by 1915, he was already a famous, what I write as a copious artist. Interestingly, when World War II came along, he demanded that his sons change their names for the protection, as he was receiving hate mail due not to his religion so much as it was his controversial political cartoons. His sons went on to have decent careers of their own. In 1938, as World War II was brewing, Goldberg gave up cartooning and wrote popular articles and stories, but then he eventually returned to editorial cartooning for the New York Sun. Later employed by the New York Journal America until his retirement in 1964, and that's when he became actually a world-renowned sculptor, and we'll see some of those items as well. So I thought, if you weren't familiar with Rube Goldberg, I put together a little collage of photographs. I think most of these are actual real press photos from our collection, with the appropriate information on the back, whether it was Associated Press or whoever put these out. And you can see him in the top left as an elderly man sculpting, and on the top right, a very young man working at his drawing table there, and everything in between. So I wanted to start out with showing you Rube Goldberg as a young man in the 19-teens. And I'm not sure if you pronounce this Path or Pathé. This was a company that produced, very early company that produced silent movies and all sorts of publications regarding the film and entertainment industry. And here's a copy of a Path magazine. It was called the Path Exchange Incorporated, featuring Rube Goldberg, even at this particular age. You can see how young he is, and the types of cartoons that he was putting out. And we'll see a lot of this. And of course, this Path was located in New York, where he eventually ended up as well. Now, this is what an article in a different Path magazine, a different edition, looked like. And it says the Boob Weekly. And you'll see also coming up that he has a famous character called Boob McNutt. And it shows just one of his crazy little inventive cartoons. And this one is from 1916. Very early on, very, very prominent cartoonist of the day. And then it says, foolish question number 97,081,111. It's amazing. This foolish questions becomes one of the most iconic things that he did and made him a fortune. And we're going to see some of the card games and buttons and different things. And it says he's the guy that put the gold in Goldberg. And that was a famous, famous cartoon advertising campaign, to put the whatever, the Golden Goldberg or whatever, all the other ones they did. I believe there were probably, I think we might have about 50 different ones, but I think there were probably 100 of them. Matter of fact, let me go back here, making $50,000 a year in the 19-teens. That was a huge amount of money. And here you can see, this is a magazine from 1922, just a tad later from our collection. And my answer to the question, how did you put it over? And, this is what's your idea of a good joke, and shows him with a tablet drawing, and featured time and time again. He was so popular in publications across the country. This is a fairly large format cartoon from 1918 in the Buffalo, New York Express. And it's really kind of cute. And please notice his very early works, his signature changed over the years. So in the bottom right-hand corner, you see R.L. Goldberg, Rube and Aloysius Goldberg, versus much later when his iconic signature says Rube Goldberg. But look at how cute this is. World War I is still going on, had another 11 months roughly. Another use for the tank idea. How to get by when you're in a theater or something, to get across an aisle in front of the people to get to your chair. This is very interesting and very important, although this one's a little bit later. As you can see, it's Rube Goldberg. It's very important to see this particular character. It's Lucifer G. Butts. That was his famous professor that supposedly was the one that came up with all these inventions instead of Rube himself. But the iconic part of this is when you look at the left at the text, he gives you an A, B, C, D, E, and so on, step-by-step instructions over what's happening to make his crazy contraption work. And that's what he was really, really noted for. And that's why Rube Goldberg Inventions is such a big part of the American development scene, if you will, with inventions and so on, even for kids in schools. And we'll see some of that later. I've only seen one of these. And this is two parts. The scarf is a silk scarf from, I don't know, it might be from the 1930s. It's not dated, but it's a silk scarf with two of his inventions on there. It's too long to show in one piece, otherwise you wouldn't be able to see it. But that's one continuous piece of silk with Rube Goldberg's, two of his crazy Lucifer Butts inventions here. Really, really clever stuff. And the characters were always really cute and quite adorable, actually. So here's the Buffalo Evening News. So, back then, most cities had multiple newspapers. This is a fold-up ruler giveaway, a little promotional thing, advertising their Sunday Funnies features. And that's what they were called, Sunday Funnies. And of course, who's the first one on this particular thing? With great company, Gasoline Alley and Regular Fellas and so on, is Rube Goldberg. This is the only one of these I've ever seen. And it just gives you an idea of how these newspapers literally competed in their advertising and promotional material to get you to buy their paper because of some of the Sunday Funnies, or perhaps somebody just like Rube Goldberg. So he actually put out sheet music. It says ravings, or in other words, the words by Rube Goldberg, a Rube Goldberg or R.L. Goldberg cartoon on the front of the sheet music. I'm the guy. And again, this goes back to the I'm the guy that put the neck and necktie and yada, yada, or the Golden Goldberg. These are the kinds of pins that you would see. And these pins appeared in cigarette packs for Hassan cigarettes and others. Very, very popular. So he would take one theme and it would be marketed and syndicated across America. And whether it was sheet music, newspaper, funnies, pins, and promotions and cigarettes, really quite remarkable. Here's a couple of really fun ones. And these are, the one on the left is pretty old, and this one's a little tough to find. Whiskers, words by Rube Goldberg and the music by Louis Gensler. But that cartoon is just adorable, with a horse eating the guy's beard. And of course, very similar, if you will, the one on the right, the Ben Bloom Music Corp. That one almost has a little flavor to Dr. Seuss, if you recall that one. These types of animals, these are a little bit more realistic looking than Dr. Seuss's characterizations would be, but nonetheless, really whimsical and a lot of fun. Now, these are two items. The two images on the far right there are the same item. That's a doll from, I think it's 1923 is the copyright on it. And it's the only one I've ever seen It's his Boob McNutt doll. And I was very, very lucky to be able to pick this up. It's a registered US patent on the design of the doll, and of course, Boob McNutt. And the mechanical toy that you see on the left-hand side is a wind-up toy from, I think it's got a copyright on the bottom shoe from 1924, if my memory serves me, and it still works. And that also is Boob McNutt. These are the kinds of toys that kids played with back in the 1920s, these tin toys that little mechanical things. This actually is on our mantle in one of our fireplaces, and it's really cute. It works beautifully, and kids get a lot of enjoyment out of even looking at that today. This is a tag that I found stuffed in the pants of that doll that you just saw on the right-hand side a second ago. And this is really important because this is the original tag that came with it. It tells us who the sole manufacturer was. We know the copyright was 1923, but even the cartoon, the R.L. Goldberg cartoon where you see Boob McNutt and the guy looking into his head to see if it's empty or not. Boob McNutt was not known for his intelligence, if you will. So these are all really nice items that really, that you can find out a lot of information about what Goldberg was doing, who got the copyright, who the sole manufacturer was, and so on. A lot of people involved in bringing these things to market. As a matter of fact, there's a Boob McNutt doll from a page from a old toy catalog, and you can see that it's 8 inches high and $12.75 per dozen. Think about that. And that's a blown up image of what's below it. You can see a lot of the tin toys on that particular page. Incredible. Today, that probably goes for close to $1,000, probably between, depending on condition, $650 to $1,000. This, although I can't find, if you spot it, let me know. I own this. It's a very large, it's probably a 15 by 18 page from a newspaper, but that's Boob McNutt in the red pants with that little hat on the telephone there on the bottom left. And it says a picnic in the sky. And you see a number of different cartoonist images there, but it's really cute, and it gives you an idea of how adorable and why people like this. It was very refreshing. It was something fun, and a lot of craziness going on in his illustrations. Now that's that dog that you saw in the last image there. This is original art by Rube Goldberg. It was done much later than when Boob McNutt first came out, but nonetheless, it's a really adorable original piece that was probably used for a newspaper ad. You can see it's designed for the 2-inch column and so on. But that's original artwork by Goldberg in our collection. And then, of course, all these cartoonists, whether it's Disney or Bill Malden or Milton Caniff, in this case, Rube Goldberg, they all did ads endorsing products. So here's Rube Goldberg's an early ad from the Saturday Evening Post. You can see how young he is there. Socks Are Like That by Rube Goldberg. So what do? They have a image with Rube Goldberg, who's obviously advertising or promoting the socks himself, but that's Boob McNutt up on the top center there. And I just want you to pay attention because it plays in later. Do you see the lamp with those little characters on it? Those little, I don't know, like the guy standing upside down with the lamp light bulb part on his foot there. That's will end up being another very iconic image from Rube Goldberg. This is, again, a more modern piece with Boob McNutt, but this is original artwork, large format, beautiful color illustration that he did. I was able to pick this up on an auction, and his characters are always so much fun. He's such a whimsical kind of guy. Beautiful, beautiful piece from the collection. This, sorry for the angle on this, but I have this framed and I had to tilt this to get some of the glare off the glass. But you can see in the very center of this photo, or a tad to the right, it says RLG. that's his official signature. This is original artwork that was sent into a magazine or a newspaper for production, for it being published. And that is, I like this for several reasons. There's just a lot of fun stuff on here, 4 very specific images, but that is such a rare signature of his. When you're collecting these artists and so on, it really comes into play. Anything that's novel is good and makes things a little more rare and a little more valuable. But you can see the kinds of craziness he did, and again, everything fun. He did Rube Goldberg's Sideshow, and I blew up the top of that. These are all these different Sunday funnies that he did. And notice those same characters. See those 3 little, like, I don't know, almost nude little gnome kind of guys. That was part of his signature for this Sideshow Sunday Funny series. And this ran for quite a while. This is some earlier stuff, but it's definitely Rube Goldberg, not RL. So we know that it's probably 1940s or later. He did this other one. Pepsi had their own cartoon that he did for them. Later on, they switched to another artist, but it was called Pepsi and Pete, the Pepsi-Cola Cops. And again, by Rube Goldberg. And this was another real moneymaker for him. Obviously, Pepsi was a very, very popular drink, beverage at the time. And this was a Sunday funny that people loved. And it was great advertising. You can imagine the amount of money he was paid by Pepsi to do this. So back, kind of going a little bit backward, back to the 19-teens and 1920s, this is a card game called Foolish Questions. And this was one of his really big items. We saw it earlier. Here's Foolish Question. You see in the corner, 4917, 19,001. It was crazy. And this, although somebody has written all over this box, some kid at some point in time, this is the original box with the original full set of cards and what people would buy to entertain themselves, kind of like a board game today. This is what he was marketing with his own things. It came in a couple of different varieties. This is a different one we have. And the cards are a little different. The back sides, the box different, but you can see the instructions with it and everything. This is a full complete set as well. And it says $1,000 worth of something of laughs for 35 cents. It's hilarious, some of these things. So I thought maybe he put out, and this is really rare, by the way. This is 1921. Goldberg gets the cover of Comic Monthly. And I think he did 2 of these. This is the rarer of the 2. And you can see just the fun, well, John, are you in town again? No, Sam, I'm up in an airplane gathering wild flowers. So these are the kind of Foolish Question things. And that's made him a fortune, published in New York in 1921. Then he put out 2 different series. I think there were about 20 postcards per series. I have a whole collection. I think I have it complete. Skating Percy. No, I'm playing checkers on the bosom of Grandpa's old blue shirt. And people, I mean, it is funny. And that's Foolish Question number 1398. And, I'm not going to show you for time's sake, but you see the messages on the back of these mailed postcards. It's really quite humorous. Taking the baby out for a ride. No, I'm running a marathon in a telephone booth. So he had to sit there and think of, obviously they didn't do a million of these, but just to make up the numbers and the cartoons and the questions. The guy was quite hilarious. And here's some more of those pins blown up if you missed those earlier. I'm the guy that put the liver in Liverpool and, the wash in Washington. People went wild and would actually wear these on their lapel pins. This is a little different one. And this one is much more rare. You can see the Union bug on the back of the pin, a bug being that little Union emblem there. The Amalgamated Lithographers Union in New York. And wear this button, watch for lucky numbers on comic pages of the New York Sunday American, that's who we worked for valuable prizes. And there you go. So there's your pin. You'd get a pin. It's number 29. I guess if that came up or was published in the paper that Sunday, you would, and obviously Boob McNutt on the pin, you would win some sort of prize. So whether it was his comic strip or promotional items to get you to look at his, to buy that newspaper, you know, it was constant. So those characters that we've seen a couple of times now, they were called, he did a lot of things with the American cartoonist organizations and so on. And a lot of times they had a lot to do with drinking and a little bit of, you know, light nudity and those kinds of things. These guys were pretty funny, but these were called booby corks. And for Drunk's Progress by Rube Goldberg. And I have a set of these, and I don't know what they're made out of exactly. It's not really plastic, but the corks are in pretty rough shape because they're old and kind of dried out. But this stuff, I mean, the corks themselves are hilarious, but look at even the top of the box there. You know, people with a artist palette drawing, and it just hilarious stuff. Well, anyway, this is a from 1968, and it's actually 1978. I think there was a typo on the date on this when I researched it. Look at that design of his Booby Corks characters on the cover of this. And it says the prize, it's the cartooning's most coveted award to be presented at New York Plaza Hotel as part of the annual dinner of the National Cartoonist Society. So this one, instead of having kind of a drunkard flair, notice what's on the top of the tuchus there, of the top guy there. That's an ink bottle, I believe, for, you know, the cartoonists for their pen and ink, if you will. So that's the design. And I don't own this. I wish I did, but I had to borrow this image. But this is the American Cartoonist Outstanding Cartoonist of the Year Award that's given out. And it's obviously designed and based on Rube Goldberg's Booby Corks there. So kind of funny stuff, very, very unusual, and a lot more entertaining, if you will, than an Oscar, at least in my mind. So getting more a little bit on a serious note. So 1948, he wins the Pulitzer Prize for, it's called Peace Today. And, you know, think about when this was, 48, it's the beginning and the real heating up of the Cold War, 3 years after the end of, you know, World War II. And here's exactly what it says for his award for a distinguished example of a cartoonist's work during the year in a United States newspaper, published daily, Sunday, or once a week. The determining qualities being that the cartoon shall embody an idea made clearly apparent, shall show good drawing and striking pictorial effect, and shall be intended to be helpful to some commemorative cause for public importance due to account being taken of the whole volume of the artist's newspaper work during this year. A whopping award of $1,000, which I guess for the Pulitzer in 1948 was, you know, fairly substantial. I imagine with what Goldberg was making in 1948, probably somewhat minuscule, but the prestige of winning a Pulitzer, you see what it is. It's an atomic bomb. You see normal families sitting on top, teetering on the brink of disaster, right? World control and world destruction. Really, really interesting. And here it is. This is just another little thing. It just says he won many awards for the National Cartoonist Society, the Gold Square Award, the Reuben Award in '67, and many more. In 1948, he won the Pulitzer. But it's just absolutely remarkable how many awards this man won. And I mean, deservedly so, right? This is that's a heck of a interesting political cartoon for 1948. Nobody would be anybody in the 1950s and 60s if you were not part of hawking cigarettes. So he chose Lucky Strike to be the one that he thought had the better taste. Different people, Milton Caniff, I forgot which ones he did, but various people did lots of cigarettes. Cigarette ads. Actually, it was Milton Caniff did Steve Canyon. It was for Chesterfield cigarettes. So there's just, this is a few words of humor from public Pulitzer Prize winning artist Rube Goldberg. So they're playing off the fact that he's a Pulitzer Prize winner, and obviously a well-known cartoonist in America, and hopefully that you'll buy Lucky Strike cigarettes because of that. However, he did do other things during World War II. He was a political cartoonist and well paid. This is one, I think when you saw the Arthur Schick one, pardon me, the Dr. Seuss one, Seuss also did some of these for Philco. Philco hired almost any cartoonist they could find to do their advertisements. And you see on the bottom here, buy war bonds and saving stamps, drawn for Philco, specifically for them by Rube Goldberg. A basic, Professor Lucifer Butts iconic cartoon with the ABCs going on there, the step-by-step. And in the little center there, the little box, it says Rube Goldberg makes a contribution, yada, yada, for Philco. So really interesting stuff. I guess what I should point out is notice in the cannons there, who's being shot out of the cannon. So you have some rather unflattering images of Tojo, Mussolini, and Hitler. So here's a couple of others. Another one he did for Philco, showing the Axis powers as rats. You see Mussolini, somebody representing a Japanese person, and Hitler there in the center as rats. And on the left side, this was a political cartoon that ran in a paper in 1943. You can see it says another momentous meeting scheduled. So you already have Benito Mussolini in, already, well, he's dead at that. I don't know if he was dead in September of 43 yet, but on the Italian fascist part being overthrown and awaiting a seat waiting in this jail cell for Adolf Hitler. And again, this particular one signed by him. This is a little bit later. This is, pardon me, this is earlier, 1939, courtesy of the New York Evening Sun. And he's showing, it says, now voting on President's WPA, the Work Progress Administration, figure. And so, it's a kind of interesting one. I never heard that word before. What does it mean, boys? It's a new one on us. So I think it has to do with Roosevelt being surrounded by yes men, and what's the cost of all of these programs that he's doing. And this one I really liked for two specific reasons. So this is a World War II capstan at Notre Dame University. They had classes. It wasn't really part of Notre Dame. They just used the facility there. Capstan was a school for Naval Reserve officers that were being brought back in for active duty and being retrained. So capstan was the name of what they called the class, and a capstan is what you see there that ropes would be tied to. That's my one of my cousins, Ben Philipson, also from Utica, New York, obviously. He was a graduate of St. Lawrence University in 1936, and he's literally in this edition. There's an Arthur Schick 2-page spread. There's a Dr. Seuss, a Walt Disney, and so on. But what's really nice is even Rube Goldberg put this indoctrination cartoon in there, the salute meter and so on, done specifically for this particular graduating class. That's a yearbook from this class that was going into active service. Some other ads you may find of interest: Smith Corona. Again, the iconic, crazy kind of illustration for Smith Corona Typewriter Company. And then, of course, U.S. Steel even got in on the act. And a new atomic corn popper by Rube Goldberg. So great, fun stuff. Everybody loves seeing his ads. This one, it's the same one. I'm just blew it up so you could see it a little bit better. International Nickel Company apparently made Rudd gas water heaters. So what does he do? He comes up with a cartoon specifically for them, and really funny. Do you see the little gas can or the little fuel can heating the coils right above the number G there? It's kind of cute, just fun stuff. And I was fortunate enough to pick up this set of 8 glasses 8 different Rube Goldberg cartoons. I don't know what this was done for. Will 8 Rube Goldberg's invention glasses that will solve the problems for a host and hostess, and tells you what the 8 glasses are, and signed by Rube Goldberg, obviously a printed signature, and that funny little cartoon he did there. Just great stuff. I still have them in the original box. I'm afraid to break them. This was interesting. So this one he did, a lot of these guys did pro bono work. And I know that my friend, the Honorable John Wisser, is on here. And so he knows what pro bono is really well. I like this because these were friendship boxes being sent for kids and other people to send to help people out after World War II around the world. And you can see Goldberg's little cartoon of the globe and the little children supporting each other with these friendship boxes. So he did a lot of really good stuff for a lot of people, not just making money with his own cartoons. In 1995, Rube Goldberg, well after his passing, was honored with a stamp, and you can see it there. You saw it on the very first slide. I had that on there. It's called Rube Goldberg's Inventions, and that's supposed to be the character of Lucifer Butts, Professor Butts, and a cute little cartoon on that particular stamp. And back in when they did a whole series of these, it wasn't just this particular sheet of stamps. They actually printed information about each one of the stamps on the back. And these were stamps that weren't self-adhesive. These were ones you would lick and stick on an envelope. But it says Rube Goldberg was a cartoonist with an engineering degree. This combination led him to create a series of crazy inventions. In this case, an automatic napkin that amused readers for decades. The panel ran from 1914, can you imagine, to 1964. What a run for a cartoon series. And he's so popular, and the stamp was so popular, I was able to buy it. I don't have the entire newspaper, but I bought the article from somebody in Germany. If you can see it up close, I know it's tough on here. This is a German newspaper showing the paper's from 2021, so it's just last year, showing the 1995 stamp, a picture of Rube Goldberg as a older man, and unfortunately my German has waned over the years. I wasn't able to really figure out the whole article, but I thought it was interesting that even in 2021, internationally, he's still being acclaimed. Now, as we're winding down here a little bit, these are 3 of his sculptures, and the 2 on the left and the right are actually in our collection. The one in the center is his self-portrait. God knows what that, I'm not sure where it is, but that must be worth an absolute fortune. And he was so popular with his sculpturing as an older man. Here's a magazine from 1970. So this is the year he died, right? This is Dodge, the automotive company. Let's see, Dodge, I think it must have been part of Chrysler at that time. They had their own news magazine. And who's on the cover but the sculpture of Rube Goldberg? I mean, it's unbelievable. I was lucky to get, I think I have 2 copies of this actually. And here's the centerfold of that particular issue. You see Goldberg again with his iconic cigar, and he did a lot of really, really famous people. I mean, that's Charles de Gaulle in the center there, famous boxers, and tremendous exhibits of his particular sculpture works. And I'm very fortunate that we have 2 of them here at the house. They were produced in very, very limited quantities, the knockoffs, if you will. There was also a whole series put out of these game pieces in the 1970s, I believe. You would put these together. They're models for kids, very specific instructions. You can see his, there's Professor Butts, the little character on the box there, and Rube Goldberg's animated hobby kits. I think I have the whole set of these. There's probably 6 or 8 of these. And kids would put these together with, they snap together, very little glue or anything required, and you would paint them, and that was what would be the result. just a few years ago, and this is, maybe pre-pandemic, this company called Wonderology came out with a whole line of crazy Rube Goldberg inventions. And there's one that's put together. I have them all. I haven't taken them out of their box and put any together. So I borrowed the image on the right with an illustration of what they look like. But these are, it's called the Speeding Car Challenge or the Acrobat Challenge, the Garden Challenge, and so on. These are designed toys to get kids to start thinking about, how to make things work, assembling things, and so on. And it's really incredible the amount of work and things where he appears. So in 2015, there's a game called the Steampunk Rally. And even in this, Rube Goldberg, as a kind of a little cartoony kind of figure, race in wacky contraptions as a variety of history's greatest of some of the greatest inventors in history. And of course, Rube Goldberg is on there, and that's the invention that they show in this particular game from 2015. So he authored so many books. I just put a couple of the more iconic ones. Is There a Doctor in the House? How to Remove the Cotton from a Bottle of Aspirin and Other Problems Solved. His Guide to Europe. This stuff is hilarious. And some of it's really old, and the illustrations just, you can't help but just love reading these things. I'm not sure if I have all of these, but I'm pretty sure I have a large number of them. He's so popular that these are books that were put out not by him, but after. So the one on the bottom is a great book, The Art of Rube Goldberg. It's, introduction by Adam Gopnik. No idea who these people are. And look at the other ones, Rube Goldberg, Just Like Rube Goldberg, Ruby Goldberg's, Rube Goldberg's Normal Humdrum School Day. Kids are being, yes.
Remember his son stuck the last name of George. I got a feeling that Jennifer George is his granddaughter.
Oh, yeah, that's, yeah, it's very possible. Yeah, very possible. I'll actually look into that. Thanks, Colonel. Appreciate that. So anyway, just to give you an idea, I bought this lot one day on an auction. I think it was on eBay. In schools today, all over America, they have these Rube Goldberg invention days where kids make, they're like science projects, right? Only they're specific for inventions. It's not like something where you have, the lava coming out of the volcano that a lot of us did as kids and so on. You have to make inventions. And so somebody had this from one of the deals, the pins, magnets, and that's the magnet is the same as the US postage stamp, but one of the games, bags, do you see the little bags? The kids must have had a kit, like a little grab bag, when they signed in for the event, notebooks, pens, everything. And what I thought was really cute, that's an old USB memory stick on the right there. And even that says Rube Goldberg Machine Contest. So today, even that is all his name just continues as a legacy to get people to think, to be amused, to make people laugh, and to have a good time. And I'm going to close with this one. I don't own this, but I found this image online, and up on top is the image that he created, right? One of his inventions, a simple device for taking your own picture. So you look at what he did, you sit on like a whoopee cushion thing, it blows the air into the sails, takes the lit cigarette, pops the balloon, and knocks over the guy in uniform. He hits the bulb, the air bulb to, generate the snapshot. And so somewhere along the line, shortly before his passing, it looks like he's probably, towards the twilight of his life there, somebody has him sitting on that blue cushion, and they had they set up an actual, they set up the real cartoon as an actual invention. And I thought it was really terrific. So With that, I'm going to end and say thank you for your kind attention. I hope you enjoyed some of the humor in there and perhaps learned something, which is always the most fun of the presentations. So thank you very much. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And if there's any time left, I'd be happy to answer any questions that I'm able to.
Mark,
Let's see, I see a hand up from Mim. If you'd like to mute, if you have a question, unmute.
No, I just wanted to congratulate you on a well-done speaker. It was very, very entertaining, and that's a clap.
Oh, it's a, oh, thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Mac Ragsdale, I think, has a question.
I do.
Yeah, hey, Mac.
Yeah, thank you. I saw quite a number of things, you know, that have come along later, Rube Goldberg branded stuff, toys and using his name. I just wondered if it was copyrighted, or is there a, you know, how is it, is there a foundation that's still going, or can you explain that?
You know, I'm not 100% sure how his, I don't know too much about his kids. And I'm sure that it was either sold off or there is some sort of copyright. I can check later, because I have the boxes in another room here. I can check on that Wonderology stuff and see who it's copyrighted to. If you'd like me to, I can go grab one real quick.
Okay, well, and if I could just real quickly say, what a collection of stuff that you have. Is it going to go on tour anytime?
No, I've never exhibited the Rube Goldberg things. I'm trying to think if that was part of, no, because when we did the big exhibit at the National War of the Pacific Museum in Fredericksburg of our cartoonists, we didn't include Rube Goldberg. There was just too much other material from other cartoonists. But no, it's a great collection, and we have so much more than what you saw. It's just a lot of fun, and I just love his artwork.
Ann, do you have your hand up?
Yes. I had a kind of a similar question for you. You have such amazing stuff, and I can see on the wall in the background, you've got more things on display. Are there plans to eventually have your collection go into a museum?
Yeah, that's a great question. And actually, Ann, I get asked that quite often. We do have plans. There in our estate plans, we have specific things going to specific museums or universities. But I have so much stuff comes in all the time, which drives my wife crazy. It's hard to keep up with it, but yeah, as we progress, we're hoping to find good homes. I will say that just today I had a email from the U.S. Holocaust Memorial Museum in Washington, D.C., where we have quite a number of things on exhibit in their Americans in the Holocaust exhibit. And now that the pandemic is over, that we've already extended that once or twice. And they asked to extend that now through the end of 2024, which we were glad to do. So we do have some things, still out there on exhibit periodically, but they're really one of our pet places because they're really seriously focused on a lot of the things that are really important to us.
Roberto, I think you have your hand up.
Yes, I'm an engineer, and as an engineer, I really appreciate the way he did put thoughts and words into examples of how to do it, and it was funny. I really appreciate that the way, but that was an ingenious thinking. I appreciate that, and it was actually great. I kept thinking, boy, I hope my grandkids can see this. Thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome.
I have a question. Gregg, again, you did a great job, but I was wondering, what about his sculptures where he actually put the scheme into a working model? And I think I saw an exhibition around 50 years ago where I saw his cartoon put into real life where things would be moving. Can you tell me about that?
Sid, what was the question? I didn't quite understand what you were asking me. I'm sorry.
He did moving objects that duplicated his cartoons.
Right, that's what we saw at the very last one. I don't have much knowledge as to, where he did those or where they were exhibited. Usually when you find his works, it's it's not something like that. It's either a piece of sculpture, stamp items, or different things that he did. But I really can't speak to that too well, other than that one image that I used at the end of his sitting there taking his own photo. Sorry about that.
You did a great job. Thank you.
Thank you, Sid.
Beverly, you had your hand up. You're muted.
Beverly, you're muted.
That's it.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
How long have you been collecting Rube Goldberg stuff?
Oh, Rube Goldberg stuff. Wow. Boy, I'm gonna have to think about that. Probably well, maybe 20 years.
What made you decide to collect his stuff?
Well, it's always interesting. That's a really good question, Beverly. What happens is when you start collecting, for example, like when I started collecting Dr. Seuss, or you get on a topic. And so the topic were, American cartoonists. And then you can make it a little more finite. It's American cartoonists that did things during World War II. And once you start doing it, you realize there's so much more to that particular cartoonist. And you go, oh man, look at this. This is from 1916. I didn't know this guy did, that kind of thing. So it's, it seems once I kind of grab onto a topic, I really like to. Some people have called me a completist. That once I find something, I really want to understand the, kind of the breadth of an individual or a particular topic or so on. But quite a while, and I can't be certain, but I think it's probably at least 20 years.
Oh, it was a fine presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I'm glad you were able to attend and enjoyed it. I think Steve, Steve had his hand up. If you'll unmute, we'll unmute. Oh, there you go.
Gregg, great job on this. And what I was going to quickly do was my son, Aiden, who I think you might have met before, he actually is showing off some of his Rube Goldberg machines. Since he was about 2-3 years old, he's been building them. I was going to try and quickly show you a couple. He actually has a few here that he's built. I don't know if you can see them or not.
Wow.
So let me flip it over. Aiden, you want to show them the helmet? Show them the hat. He has a marble machine thinking cap, and he built that during the pandemic when he was bored. And back then, this was second grade. None of the kids had a lot to do, and so he built that. It still works. When we moved to Philadelphia, which we just had, we actually packed all of these things in my wife's car, which we had shipped, just so nothing would get damaged. So that still works. He used hot glue and what else? Yeah, I don't know if you can try and demo it. Can you try it? Go ahead. Try it. All right. Now you got to tilt your head a little bit, and helps his balance too. I can say that much. So, and there you go. Yep.
Aiden, was that something that was part of a class or a project at school, or are you just that smart that you decided to do this yourself?
I just decided to do it myself.
Hey, no pun intended, but my hat's off to you, buddy.
That's brilliant. I love that. Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to just not screw things up here. Hold on, I want to get the screen back. Okay, so let's see, can I do that? Close this. Okay, good. We have that, and then we have this one, which is a piece of art that he did using toilet paper roll, and he uses ping pong balls for that one.
It doesn't really technically work, but it looks like abstract, I would say.
Yeah, he loves a lot of mixed media stuff. This is the other one he did, which And I don't remember when you did that one.
It
So,
was like,
Oh, wow.
yeah. So, and then I'll try and show these because when he was in kindergarten, they did have, Greg, to your point, they had a STEAM night. And so this is one of the ones he and his mom built. Actually, he was 5 years old when he built that.
Oh, wow.
And
Oh,
actually, yeah, he was 6 years old when he built that. And then this was him in kindergarten. And what it was is at the end of that machine, a light actually went on and he was trying to show the difference between
So-
kinetic and potential energy.
yeah.
oh,
The
wow.
one funny
Wow.
thing is that a kid tried to steal some of the marbles that I had at the machine.
Yeah. Greg, you can understand too. And now we live in a much smaller place. When we were in Texas, we had a fairly sizable ranch, but now that he does it, there's marbles everywhere. And I just turned 55. I tend to
I
wander the
just
house.
built a machine that went all the way from my room and all the way into
Yeah,
the living room.
I tend to wander the house when I have to use the restroom, and a marble helps wake me up, which is that's the actual video of him doing it there. And then it lit up the bulb. And yeah, he was, I think 5, 6. He was 6 when he did that. I'm going to try and quickly show you just the remnants of the one he built. This piece actually went the length of the whole apartment here.
So this piece went all the way around here.
Yep.
It came down, went across before we had the door here.
Yeah.
It went across, went down over there, went over my bed, and I slept in my bed, and thankfully the machine did not break.
And that's
It
just
came down,
some bizarre.
Came
Yeah.
under, came over here, went down through a spiral, came over here,
Yeah.
turned a little, and then that was the end.
Wow.
Jackie would be horrified if she saw what a calamity the house is, and I showed it to you guys, but it's really the only way to show the breadth of all the stuff he's done.
Wow.
And I'm sorry to have hijacked a big piece of the meeting, but I wanted to share that with you
Oh
guys.
my gosh, not hijack. You just illuminated the whole concept of what Rube
Thank you.
Goldberg.
What's all about.
You just made my
Oh, he
day.
is. Thank you. No, I mean, and Greg, I remember your last performance, and I went to Binghamton, so I actually have friends from Utica. Best friends as a professor at Utica College, and we moved to Philly to be closer to family in Buffalo as well. And so we actually are going to go to the Jewish Museum right by where the Liberty Bell is. There's a really excellent Jewish museum there too. So I don't know if you've thought about putting pieces there, but I'll go back and say, one of the things we always struggled with in Austin was there were, like, the Thinkery was a great museum, but it was kind of limited after a certain point, like there was nothing else to do. And I think you could bring that portable thing to like Liberty Hill, to Leander, to Lockhart, certainly to AISD, where as Lions, we have such a strong presence. And I don't want to put you out and schedule you, but I'm just saying, like, some of that stuff I think would be beautifully well received, and you'd be reaching all of those kids who may or may not even know about Rube Goldberg. I happen to have known about him growing up because my mom was a teacher. She actually met James Thurber, so she knew a few of the writers from the New Yorker. And so Aiden just came upon Rube Goldberg on his own. He just found it and loved it.
I used a
So-
hot glue gun, burnt myself about 5 times. and
So-
I cut myself about like
so that's
30
it.
times, and that's how-
But-
Wait, what? I didn't hear what Aiden just said.
He just said he used a hot glue gun and he burned himself multiple times.
Oh,
So
well, that's, yeah, hot glue guns, right?
Yeah.
So,
I
well,
know
Gre-
made for interesting discussions when his teachers would see bruises and burns on him, and then we had to kind of explain how he got those. So,
wow.
that's not why
You
we like
just,
Texas,
it's
but
just fantastic. It's
Thank
a prime example of how he's still being looked upon today. And maybe they don't know who Rube Goldberg really was, but at least that aspect of it is so important that these kids are learning from what this guy did. And that was really
Absolutely.
one of the key components. Thanks, Steve.
Yeah.
That's really wonderful.
Thank you for the time. Yeah, for sure.
Wow.
Beautiful presentation as always. So thank you.
JP, you had your hand up, so let's go ahead and finish on that. JP, you're
I
muted.
did, and thank you. Yes, Greg, I was curious, did Goldberg's 2 sons ever change their name back to Goldberg after they went through what they went through?
Boy, another interesting question. I don't know whether they did or not. If Chuck Mendelbaum's correct in the author's name, apparently not, at least for one of the kids, but I don't know the answer to that. I don't know the answer to that. kind of a sad testament anyway that he would do that. I particularly didn't like that aspect of researching him, but you know, I guess protecting your family, as we all would, people do it in different ways, I guess.
Well, Greg, I think we'll move on here. Thank you for an excellent program. And Matt, thank you for an excellent program. Putting us together with Greg was just super.
And Mac, anytime you need some help, if you know you got my last message, just let me know. And I've got a plethora of different presentations that I can do on a moment's notice. So
I think we'll be hearing from you again.
all right, thank you. Thank you all. Thank you all also for being such a powerful, wonderful service organization. It means a lot to me because it's the way my wife and I live our lives. And my hat's off to all of you. So thank you for listening. And I'm going to jump off.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Generous. Mac,
Bye,
if
Your
you
Honor.
could just give us an idea who we have next week for a program, or if we do have.
Let's see. Well, Drew Cheverly has next week's program. I don't think he's on here. So it's going to be Celia Israel, state representative. And I'm not sure if she's declared for mayor yet or not. But anyway, she will be speaking on, and I'm not sure also, wait for it, whether it's in person or Zoom, but we'll find that out here pretty quick. But she has, let me see, I just got it. We're running kind of close to the wire here. The subject is path to service. That's what we do. So that's your.
Exactly. Ann, go ahead.
I just have late breaking news. I had to get off the Zoom for a few minutes. I was talking to Glenn C., who is the president of TAB Technologies. And for the first time ever, we have sold our premier sponsorship, which is an $8,000 sponsorship.
Wow.
And so thank you to Glenn and to Cameron. I thought he was doing a clay, and he goes, no, I think I'm going to do that top one. He said, I've got to keep Cameron happy. So Cameron is our secret weapon here, people.
Good job, man. Good job.
Hey.
Okay. We'll I think we've got everything included. So we're going to have we'll have our board meeting in about, let's just give it 5 minutes. Everybody can get a little break, and then we'll get back to the board meeting. We'll adjourn the meeting now. Thank you all for attending.